Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of This Pharaoh Live podcast. Coming to you today from now just recently rained on Texas, which was really, really nice.
10 degrees lower, I'll take it. It was so hot, it was unbearable.
Oh man, it's been so crazy. We broke like every record all the way back to like the 50s this summer. It's been really bad. Did you see in the news they were saying that the Farmer's Almanac is saying it's going to be like the coldest, wettest winter on record?
Yeah, we're going to have to save an episode for that because we had a scenario here in Texas. If you're not all familiar, we had snowvid, which completely downed our power lines. We were out of power, and we've never experienced that here in South Texas, that type of snowstorm.
Well, it's like negative 25.
Yeah.
I mean, it killed all the trees, because here you got a lot of tropical trees. Every palm tree died, every tropical fern died, everything died. There was just a big wasteland. I mean, you could have made a lot of money like hauling like
palm trees,
stuff.
because we have a lot of palm trees around, and so those are big and heavy and very expensive to haul off. So you could have made some good money there.
Oh yeah. Speaking of hauling stuff and doing things with all sorts of stuff to make extra money, today's episode is about monetizing your equipment on your farm. And when we're talking about that, we're talking about broad terms here. You can monetize, if you have a nice truck, you can do hot shots and hauling stuff.
Yep.
A nice trailer, a dump trailer, stuff like that. Haul stuff, move things, take trash, stuff like that for people. So every piece of equipment you buy for your farm should
pay for itself.
Yeah. And I mean, even if you buy a nice dehydrator, you can make baby snacks for somebody.
Yeah.
You buy a freeze dryer, you're gonna find ways to monetize that.
Pet foods, baby snacks, baby food.
Breast milk.
Yeah, breast milk.
Milk's a big one.
Yeah, breast milk's a big one.
Yeah.
Baby food's a big one too, because moms don't want metals in their foods. They want to know exactly what their babies are eating, and I don't blame them. And so that's a great way to monetize your freeze dryers.
Yeah. So if you've got everything you get, you buy a shovel, you can dig something for someone somewhere. So there's a way to monetize pretty much everything. And we're going to kind of help you think outside the box for that. Like, let's talk about it. So tractors, let's start with big stuff and work our way down.
Okay.
Right? So probably outside of your actual house, the next most expensive thing you're going to have is going to be like tractors and vehicles. Pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's pretty much how that goes. So you got your tractor, you got your big old giant tractor, and something you can do with it to make extra money is to, I plan on buying another tractor and doing road grading out there at the new farmstead, putting in new roads, maintaining the roads that are there, doing tilling and brush removal for a bunch of people.
Clearing.
So putting in garden beds with them, doing fence posts, because none of it out there, it's just blank land. So as people move in to the areas around us, they're going to need somebody to put in fence posts. You know, heck, I'll go drill a bunch of holes with the tractor and knock it out. I don't know if I want to put the fences up, but I'll sure put the holes there.
Yeah, I saw this man doing it all in one. I have to find that video again, but it was pretty cool the way he had his little setup. It was the pole that would go in, but then he had the roll of fencing.
He's got some fancy fencing machine.
Yeah, it was. It was really. Yeah.
I can't justify buying that
yet.
But
We'll get there one day.
Yeah, I do like, but you know, if we're buying something, like as far as a if I'm buying a new, let's say, flail mower for the tractor, I'm going to use that to clear my right of way at the farm, and then other people's right of ways, do fire breaks for it, just a little bit of everything. And it's not that hard to think of ways to use your tractor. Now you need to make it worth your while. So when it comes to that, you don't want to lowball yourself. You don't want the job just to get the job, right? Like, you don't want to put the wear and tear on your equipment to have it break into and the maintenance required and replacement costs if you do break something. I don't do anything with tractor work for less than like $100 an hour. And I don't tell people a price for a job, right? I don't go, oh, hey, this this job is, you know, I think it's going to take me 5 hours. I'll charge you $500 because if I get that job done in 10 minutes, then I still want that $500, right? But you're going to find that people like the hourly rate, and they're very happy with that as long as they don't look out there and see you like doing nothing, right? So hourly rate on a tractor works out really well. Per job rate on small jobs that are like, you know, tilling a garden, a new garden bed. Doing 3 or 4 passes with a tiller over, like, you know, you got a 6-foot tiller out the back or a 5-foot small tiller. And you do 3 or 4 passes with that guy. And that takes you, what, 20, 30 minutes to do a regular garden bed. Well, you know, that's $50, but you now hauled your tractor over there. You've taken it off the trailer. You've put it together. So for those kind of small jobs, I do those piecemeal. Like, oh, hey, that'll be $200. We'll get it all together. I'll till in some poo, you know, whatever else you want done while I'm still here. You know, maybe, so, you know, just
make garden beds,
yeah,
enclosed gardens, all kinds of stuff.
Do a couple of things, do a couple other little things like that while you're there on scene. But as far as doing it by hourly, like those little jobs need to be done piecemeal. A big job would be, hey, I need you to go mow that 40 acres over there. That one is one that I would do by hour. Just because, you know, if you run out of fuel, you have to go get some more fuel. You're getting paid that entire time you're getting more fuel, right? Does that make sense? You're not just, oh, I'll mow your 40 acres for, you know, 300 or $400. Well, you run out of fuel, you hit a problem, you got to fix something real quick, you got to run and get more fuel. You're not making money during that time. Whereas if you do the bigger jobs by the hour and the smaller jobs just like as just a straight quote, I seem to think it works out a lot better. Those of you guys that live up where it gets cold, with your tractor, you can clear driveways. You can do pretty much just about anything you want.
So I'm going to question the whole piecemeal versus hourly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be best, like, if there's a lot of acreage and it's a bigger project for you to charge, you know, by like a piecemeal type?
Well, the thing is that I like hourly.
Okay.
See, your thing there says it's like to mow an acre is going to be $150 to $200, right?
Right.
Well, okay. If it takes me 2 hours to mow it, but how overgrown is it? I mean, if you just go, all right, this is my, it's basically $200 an acre to mow whatever you want. Okay, we got 40 acres. Yeah, okay, that's, you know, $8,000 or whatever, and that's just the cost you quote them, and there's stumps out there, there's rocks out there. It's you get out halfway out in the field and you find out part of it's a swamp. And
it takes you more days.
It now takes you 3 or 4 days. Whereas if you're being paid by the hour, they can call it quits whenever they want. They're like, hey, you know what? It's not worth doing that back, you know, little 2-acre swampy area back there because, you know, it's going to take you 6 hours to struggle through it. And those 6 hours, you know, they don't want to pay it by hour, whether you're not obligated to finish that by hour, right? By piecemeal, you have to. If it takes you 6 hours to struggle through there and mow it, by golly, you've agreed to a price, you're going to get it done. Or give them a discount on it. But then you'd have to go back and, you know, figure out your hourly for it. And anyway, so, yeah, I like hourly. It gives the customer ability to, if you get done with something a little bit faster than they anticipated, but they have had a budget in their head, it shows them that they get to save a little bit of money. Also, it gives them the opportunity to go, you know what, he got done with that pretty quick. I have a couple of little holes over here to dig. I need to fill in this pothole. I need to go and do a couple other things. Well, I got the tractor here, you know, and it's charging me the same amount, whatever I'm doing, as long as the tractor's running. I'm getting charged $100 an hour. Then I'll have them go and do this and that and that and that. And then they start referring you to friends. You know, don't diddle on a job. You're working for yourself. Don't screw yourself. Right? So tractor monetization is really easy when it comes to like mowing, job stuff like that. Now, if I lived in an area where it snowed a lot, I would definitely buy a snowblower. A snowblower
yeah.
attachment with the third function up front of the tractor.
Oh yeah.
But if I didn't, and let's say I live somewhere where it only, like you could count on maybe 6 or 8 good snows a year, but the rest of the year would just have a little bit of snow, I would probably lease a snowblower attachment. There's a lot of companies out there that will lease the snowblower attachment to you for the 4 or 5 months when it's like, snowy. And then I would turn around and use that lease, and I would go and I would use the crap out of that machine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rented. There's a reason.
Make my money back.
Yeah,
and
there's a
use the crap out of
reason
it.
that they call it, use it like a rented mule, right? Like, I would ride that snowblower out. Like,
Out yonder.
Yeah, that's my new chariot, and it's gonna make me some money. And I mean, if I'm paying $450 to $500 a month leasing it anyway, and the snowblower attachment, and it's normally a $7,000 or $8,000 attachment, I'm gonna make some money out with it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pay for half of the damn machine by the time the year's out. But I look at it this way: is that I'm gonna use it so hard that I might break it, but it's a lease. All right, which means you just get on the phone to your local dealer and go, yeah, I don't know what kind of metal you're making these things from these days, but boy, I just can't handle the snow up here, blah, 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 then have them send you another one. Or have them come out there, pick up their old machine, drop it back off, and give you another one. But I'm clearing, like, roads for people. I'm clearing things for people. I'm clearing, areas so people could get out to feed their animals. I'm clearing a little bit of everything if I have the snowblower attachment for my tractor, and it's a pretty lucrative little job. That's another one of those ones that I would do by, I would probably honestly do those by the job, right? Just because snow is it's a thing, right? It comes down often. It's relatively unpredictable, and you might have a person who has you come and clear their road to their house, 6 or 7 times in a season. You don't really want to, have it be financially ridiculous for them every time they do it. You want them to be able to. You want it to be, make sense to them to charge it out to you. So if I live somewhere that was cold, lease a snowblower attachment for the front bucket. Drop your bucket, hook up the attachment, go to town, drink some coffee, and tractor time is happy time. Rock and roll on that guy.
They were fun.
Yeah, they are a lot of fun. Tractor time is always happy time unless something breaks and you're doing maintenance, and then it's not happy time. Then it's lots of yelling and watching YouTube videos on how do I fix that? YouTube, man, it's so good for when something's broken, how to fix it. Other things you can do with your tractor: post holes.
Yep.
If the ground is soft and sandy and nice and easy, and it doesn't have a lot of rocks, this guy's like, hey, I need to put a ton of post holes. I'm charging $5 to $10 a post hole.
Install irrigation.
Yeah, irrigation's a fun one.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a ditch witch type attachment, at this point, okay.
I used to do it on the farm. It was such a cheat.
Yeah, it was a cheat. On the a little bit about tractors is there is an attachment to do everything. I swear somewhere out there is a sauna attachment or a hair cutting station attachment or a milking stand or something. There's an attachment that does every single thing you can think of for a tractor. You need to pick some stuff to specialize in. So, like doing irrigation. Everybody has irrigation. Everybody wants to bury their water lines. Burying water lines is great. It's going to, as it gets hotter and hotter, climate change, and then we get colder and colder winters. However you want to deal with it, whether you believe in climate change or not, or you believe it's just a natural thing. Not going to get into that argument, but burying your water lines makes a big difference in the temperature of your water and conservation of your water. So you can get a ditch witch attachment, or you can keep your eye on Craigslist and pick up a used ditch witch for $2,000, $3,000. This sounds like a lot of money, but you don't need to come up with 100% of the money right up front, right? You can always go through a firm or a third-party financing type company like that, and then do it in payments. But have a plan for it to make money before you buy it. Don't just wish upon a star that, hey, I'm going to buy this, $3,000 or $4,000 implement or $3,000 or $4,000 standalone machine, and then I'm going to then the next day start a business burying water lines, or putting in this or putting in that. Already go out there and see if there's a need for it before you buy the machine. But also keep your eye on Marketplace and Craigslist for used equipment. You can always pick it up some really cheap. I just saw a Bel Air, the Ram. It's a post hole digger for rock. It's a rock digger.
Oh, yeah.
It digs straight down in rock. It's hydraulically ran. You need at least a 35 horsepower tractor, so that's a little bit bigger than all those micro tractors out there to run it, but it will dig straight through granite and set posts. And I was like, man, it's rocky around here. I'd love that thing. Brand new, it's a $17,000 piece of equipment, rode hard, and on Craigslist now, it's a $3,500, $4,000 piece of equipment that needs a hydraulic pump. Well, I looked at the hydraulic pump, and I can find a hydraulic pump on eBay for the thing that's about $500, and it matches up with and runs from the third function on the front of the tractor. So I can get it, and for $4,000 completely total, have a completely working $17,000 machine, and go out there and set hard posts. Those hard posts in rock, those are ones that are, those are $50 holes, $50 to $100 holes. That's good money. It's going to take you a lot longer. You're not punching that hole in 4 minutes and moving on like you would with an auger and nice soil, but you're punching that hole in, maybe you're doing 2 holes an hour. That's still $200 an hour, and that's something I'll get out of bed for.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I'll shove you out of bed for. I'll make you coffee. I'll make you breakfast. What else do you need?
Yeah. So, you got to kind of look at it that way. It's like, what can I make with it, and how much can I make with that? And then, is it worth my time to get out of bed? So you got that going on for you. There's a little bit of everything. If you let's say you have some acreage and you've bought a small baler for your, you have you're doing micro baling on your property. So you bought a small baler that are just doing the mini round bales or the mini squares. Like you just, you got your 20 acres and you're just doing the grass for your stuff. Don't just take that equipment out, use it 3 times a year and put it away. Once you take it out, let everybody know you're available to bale. And you will come, and there's 2 ways to do this. There's I come and cut your hay. I set it up to dry, I put it in the windrows, and then I bale it and I take 50% of the hay. Right?
Yeah.
That is a very popular way to do it. That's baling on contract. And the other way is that I'll bale it for you, and I'm going to charge you per bale of hay. So the mini bales, they're about 250, 300 pounds. Those ones are usually going for $35 or $40, if you're doing custom baling for them, right? Or if the people are buying them here because it's a crazy drought and just it sucks, right? They're going for $55, $60 if you're buying them off the back of a truck. So it is cheaper for them by a lot, especially once you get over 100, 200 bales, to have you come and bale it for them, and you're just out some diesel, some string, pretty much, and a couple hours lubing stuff up at the end of the day. So if you're gonna bust out your baler, bust it out, talk to your neighbors, put some ads up on Facebook, and get it. And if they want to do it on contract, that's fine. You take home your 50% of everything baled. You stack up all the bales, you take a picture of them, then you take half your pile. You take it home. You take a picture of what you took and what's left, so there's no argument with it.
Yeah, and social media is your friend.
And then
Facebook,
you start
Instagram,
selling them.
Yeah, sell it on Marketplace. You could boost a post for $40, or you could run a full ad. Generally, if you're running a full blown ad, it's $1,000 a month just for the ad. You can have those leads generate into a CSV file, start calling those leads and booking appointments. There's all kinds of stuff you could do, but social media is definitely your friend, guys. If you don't know it, learn it. Watch YouTube videos. There's courses you could take that are on Google that are free, to run Google ads. Just don't limit yourself. Like, there's knowledge at your fingertips. Just get at it.
A good used sickle bar mower, they're really not that expensive. I've found them for $500-$600. And what it does, you got like, a 7-8 foot sickle bar mower off the right or left side of your tractor, and you're able to mow around ponds. And that's been a big thing is upkeep around ponds for people. Mm-hmm. It's just to be able to just reach out there 7 feet into the water and just mow down. So people can access their ponds to, whether it is coming up on duck season or if they just want to fish again in that area. So doing that works out really well, and that's another way to monetize with your tractor. Hauling stuff for people, obviously. Digging holes for people, obviously. One thing I would strongly suggest you do not do is get into the digging ponds for people. It is a money pit for you. It's going to take 3 times the amount of time you think it is. It's going to take a lot of wear and tear on your vehicle, on your equipment, and on yourself. And I just wouldn't get into it. I wouldn't do that. Planting trees.
Oh yeah, planting trees is a good one.
Yeah.
Orchards, pecan trees,
Especially if you have extra room in your greenhouse and you start your own trees.
Ooh, you could sell the starters and plant them.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. See, guys, we're coming at you, coming in hot.
And making a bunch of money that way. Like, hey, you buy the tree, we'll come and plant it for $100. Because normally if you went over there and drilled a hole, it'd be like what, 58, $10 to $5 to $10, right? To drill, just pop a hole in the ground if it's easy hole. And so you're already 10 times that amount already right off the bat, and so it's going to cover your gas to get there and back. But don't don't do that if they're 6 counties over. Right?
Yeah, it's going to take you forever to get there.
Yeah, it's 250 miles. They bought 10 trees. So great, you're gonna make $1,000 on that, but you got your wear and tear in your truck, your time, your everything else all involved in it.
Funny, I read a news story last week, or the last podcast, as I was prepping. I read a news story that there's now more road rage against tractors on the highways and stuff. Like, people have no patience for them. So that you want to consider too. If you're driving 6 counties out, it's not going to be fun with everybody harassing you and honking at you the whole way.
I would advise people that if somebody hits you from behind in your tractor, to grab your neck and scream like a if they hit my giant tractor with flashing lights going down the highway at 30 miles an hour to get to the next field over, right? And I'm well within my rights to be able to do it. To use those roads as a right of way to get from one point to another. Now, I'm not getting in my tractor and I'm not driving to Walmart. I'm getting in my tractor and I'm going down the county road, maybe a mile and a half to get to somewhere else. I will pay for my farm with cash after that. Because they will hit me, and the EMS guys, fire department's got to show up and extract me out of the tractor. Because I can't feel my legs. Sir, you've just kicked me in the face. I can't feel it. But
it was just a reflex.
It's a reflex. It's a fear reflex. You're going to drop me. But, get impatient and see what happens.
Yeah.
So, and it's not going to really do a lot of damage to the backside of my tractor.
Yeah. I just thought that was an interesting story, how it's literally tripled within the past couple of years as far as accidents with tractors and stuff.
Everybody's in such a hurry.
Yeah.
So, we've I don't know, what else kind of fun stuff can we do with the dang tractor?
You talked about clearing brush. You talked about
log
mowing.
Splitters on the back of the tractor. Big one. For people with firewood, go out there and split big logs that they down. A lot of people don't have a log splitter, for doing a big hydraulic splitter for doing a bunch of big stuff. The log splitter hydraulic attachments are cheap. They're real cheap. Hits on your 3-point hitch is the hitch in the back, and you can rock and roll with that little guy and split the living crap out of a bunch of stuff. And so that one's a good one. Split and stack some firewood. It's a good workout for you. It's a good workout for them. I still do $100 an hour for that. Because you're going to be able to do a ton of wood if you're not screwing around for $100 an hour. If I tell them before I do a job like this, if you do a little prep on your end, it's going to save you a lot of money when it comes to the bill. So if they have already cut the wood with their chainsaws to a width that they like say they want 24-inch logs, and they've already cut this giant tree up to 24-inch rounds, pieces, but they can't split them from there, that's great. I will go ahead and roll that thing up there onto the tractor, the log splitter, split it, and stack it for them from there. If they just have a giant tree on the ground, I'm going to tell them, okay, I'll pull out my chainsaw, but this is going to get expensive to you pretty quick. If you have a smaller tractor, like say a 25 horsepower and under, right? So like the smaller Mahindras, the smaller John Deere's, like the John Deere, I think it's a 1025R, stuff like that, and under. You can go and mow just all sorts of places you couldn't really get the big lawnmower into. Speaking of mowers, y'all ever wanted to have one of those, what are those called? Those really cool lawnmowers that you sit in the front of them, the zero turns? Yeah, the zero turn lawnmowers.
Those are fun.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. If you own a zero turn lawnmower and you are not cutting other people's lawns with it, it's literally just wasting money.
Yeah.
Because one, they're ridiculously nimble. You can get them in anywhere. You can tow the thing on a trailer with a golf cart.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so you can tow it wherever you want it needed to go. They sip fuel. They're really easy. They've got cup holders. You got plenty of places to put your beer. And they're really good at getting very close to places, which minimizes the amount of edging that you need to do. So mowing some lawns or having your teenage child like mow some lawns and mowing some right-of-ways with it, like if it's just a little right-of-way, like through an orchard, something like that.
Yeah.
Rock and roll it. Set the height up real high if you're going to mow in an orchard so you don't scald the ground. Right? So you don't mow so low that everybody wants to mow and look like a golf course. Mm-hmm. The problem with that is the golf courses just dump water constantly, like an inch a day of water onto the grass because the grass is, knee high to a grasshopper. So it just doesn't have any ability to shade itself and keep the ground cool. So if you go out there and you're mowing in between somebody's orchard, they're not going to be happy with you if they go out there in the day and all the grass is dead and brown because you mowed it at the minimum setting. You want to mow it high, so it's all one even thing, but about between shin and the top of your foot.
Yeah.
So like ankle high. That way, it's got enough resiliency and in case enough shade that it doesn't die off.
And do a good job so that you can, now create like a recurring agreement with anybody and come out every month or every other week or whatever it is.
And you don't know. Maybe this guy's got knows somebody else has a family, or there's a church that he knows that needs a regular lawnmower guy, and you show up over there and now, hey, look, you're the community lawnmower dude, and now you've made enough money to, it's good. Just put that money back into your equipment and buy another piece of equipment and expand from there. But every piece of equipment you have, you should find a way to monetize it. If you want to go out there, I have my eye on a new dump trailer. Like
the hydraulic one.
The hydraulic dump trailer, yeah. I have my eye on a new hydraulic dump trailer because one, I can drive my smaller tractor up into it and haul it wherever I need to go. Two, I can drive the lawnmower up into it and haul it wherever I need to go. Three, I can haul anything I want because it has the rollover top on it. I'm not worried about anything blowing out. So we can use it to move ourselves. We can use it to move all of the stuff we need to go and set up at a farmer's markets with it because it's got the tall, solid sides. We can harvest tons of fruit and vegetables with it. We can haul, where we're moving, we're only, how far, like 3 or 4 miles from that feedlot?
Yeah, 3 or 4 miles. From
Yeah,
the
3 or 4 miles from that feedlot, and I'm planning on going over there and then just being like, so which pile of poo's mine? And and just like, taking the dump trailer and getting as much as I can. Well, if I'm going to do that, I might as well, hey, I can get you a load of good, a good poo if you want to, want me to do a garden bed for you. Great, I'll show up. How big a garden bed? Oh, you want to do a 36 foot by a 20 foot. Okay, great. So you already figure. Oh, okay, I've got my 6 foot. That's going to be about 30 passes back and forth with the tiller. On passes 5 and passes 9, I'm gonna spread poo out there and till it in really good, so it gets very good worked into the soil. So, but that's another service you can offer. Hey, I'll come out there and spread some steer manure out there, or horse manure, or whatever you want, whatever, depending on whatever animals are there, out there for for another $150. Is it going to cost you $150? No. If you get it for free, great. All you do then that one is just hauling it somewhere, scooping it out of the dump trailer. Have your dump trailer up a little bit, and then have it just dump right into the bucket of your tractor, and so you can just take it out there and spread it as you back up.
Yeah.
But works out really well. I think that'll work great. I really want one of those dump trailers, honey. Like wink, wink, hint, hint, hinty wink.
Christmas. Okay.
Yeah.
And then also too, just be careful where you're digging. If you're going to dig deep holes, use a utility or other services available near you that can tell you what's underground before you start digging.
Yeah, here it's 411 dig or something like that, or 611. Yeah. It's 411 tells you where the...
So check your local ordinances, and figure out, what the game plan is. Some places might require insurance, that you carry some type of insurance. So look into that.
Yeah, most of that liability stuff is really not that expensive.
Yeah. And again, if you're gonna work your equipment, it's gonna pay for itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I would, when it comes to tilling, I wouldn't worry so much about that. I would worry about, hey, do you guys have a septic system, and where is it at? Because I don't want to run over it and fall into it.
Yeah.
Secondly is that you're only tilling down 6 or 8 inches into the dirt, so you're really not digging deep enough to hit a phone line or a buried anything like that. Those are usually 3 or 4 feet in the ground, at least around here. So you don't really have to worry too much about that. It is very nice to know. And those people at 311 dig, it's 311, I think. Those, just look it up. I'm gonna just give them a bunch of numbers until we know which one it is. Just put 311 dig. See what that says.
811.
811.
In Texas, anyway, it's 811.
All right, so if you add the last two together, I'm still one off.
Yeah.
So I was at 411 to 311. Okay. So yeah, I was totally wrong. My bad, guys. But they have nothing better to do. They don't charge you to come out there and find the buried stuff. They just do it. They already get paid to do it. And if you're not having them come out and locate stuff for you, then all they're doing is sitting around and drinking coffee and cashing a paycheck. So you might as well make them work for the dollar. Works out really well, and you'll put the liability off of you and onto them. So that's going to help quite a bit. Definitely smart thing to do if you're going to go ahead and dig holes. So we have covered our tractor. We've covered, hey, it's cool to get a badass lawnmower if you're actually going to use it for something. If you don't want to use it for something, that's fine too. But you're just leaving so much money on the table. To mow a lawn with a riding lawnmower is just so short, such a few minutes, that it's really more of a fun thing to do to get out of the house than it is actually work. We've covered tractors tilling. We've covered trailers. So if you have a trailer, like a big flatbed trailer, you got a big old dually truck of some type. I've seen a lot of people do hot shots. So they pick up equipment, like heavy equipment that people buy, and they move it from one place to another. That works out really well for them. I've seen people move people's RVs. I'm not going to want to do that. That's a lot of liability, I think, because some of these people are buying these RVs like sight unseen, right? They're just buying them off of, and you show up, buying them off of a Craigslist ad or a marketplace ad, and they might be 200 miles away from where they buy this RV. Well, that's cool. You're going to make a few $1,000s to go pick up that RV and take it over to them, but you arrive to find out that it's not in towable condition. So now you've just gone, 100 miles out of your way to go and pick up an RV that can't be moved. So you're out the money. So in those kind of situations, they need to have something in place to make sure that you get reimbursed for your mileage one way or the other. So when you get, I think we're almost done with outside tools. Like chainsaws, come on, brush clearing, land clearing, tree trimming, things like that.
Wood chippers.
Wood chipper, big thing if you have a wood chipper is, clearing brush for people, chipping the stuff. If I had a wood chipper that was like PTO or hooked up to my tractor, I'm shooting those chips into the bed of my truck or into the trailer. Because I'm saving them, taking them home.
Garden bed.
And putting them in a garden bed.
Very pretty in garden beds.
Because I know what I chipped, right?
Yeah.
Like, if it's cedar or something like that, I'm just rotating the head so it shoots it to the other side. But if it's oak or someone's going to decompose really nicely and decompose well and add something to my soil, I'm saving those chips.
Yeah.
Right? So that works really well. Also, chipper is a beautiful way to get rid of cactus. You can take, cactus clearing is a big one up around here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got these prickly pears. They get like 6 feet tall.
They are not
But
fun.
you can cut those guys up and throw them with a pitchfork into the chipper, and they just turn to like goo. I don't know how to explain it. They just turn to like...
I feel like aloe, like the jelly aloe.
They just grow. They just shoot out of there as gel, which seems like it would be a big mess. As soon as you are done, the last thing you want, if you're gonna chip a bunch of stuff all day, the last thing you chip is the cactus, right? Don't chip your cactus first, and then chip wood all day, as you're gonna gum up everything inside of there with all the juice, right? And as soon as you're done chipping your cactus, you turn your machine off, and you let it cool down, and you take it to the car wash, and you turn it back on, and spray it out.
Yeah.
Don't let it run hot, full of juice. The juice has a lot of sugar. It'll caramelize in there, and it'll turn super sticky, and it'll be miserable to get out. While if you turn it off and take it directly somewhere to washes right off like aloe vera would wash off your skin. Super easy to get rid of at that point. And it's good to just chip it back into the soil. It's not going to regrow unless you're chipping like the mature seeds. But like the pads, when they're chipped, they're not going to regrow. But it just puts it all right back into the soil. So it's super good for the soil.
Also, too, when I mentioned social media earlier, I forgot to mention, join your local Facebook pages, Facebook groups, farmers groups, neighborhood groups, that way you can post your, services on there if allowed. I know a lot of them have a lot of rules. That would be a good way, because for us, we are the first ones that'll be moving where there are literally 72 lots for sale around us that are
they're all the 5-10 acre range.
We're gonna create a Facebook page and or join the local neighborhood groups and stuff that are around us and provide services.
We should make that first.
Yeah, we should make that first. I'm gonna own that. I'm the king of the hill.
Yeah, so that way that nobody else could go there. You guys can't promote yourself.
You're not in my club.
I'll be promoting the living crap out of us. Hey, we're already here, and we know what kind of soil you got. You probably need some fences. You need to put that mailbox in. I'll just shoot on over there with the tractor and do it for you.
Yep.
Be $100 for that hole and some concrete and rock and roll. So, there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do with your tractor. If you don't have a tractor, get a tractor. Everybody needs a tractor.
Everybody needs a tractor.
And right now, they're desperate as living crap to sell tractors. So, take advantage of it. I think what Mahindra is right now doing, 84 months, 0% interest.
Wow.
That's free money.
Yeah.
You can get a decent size, a 25 horsepower, tractor for $260 a month for Mahindra. Not a super Mahindra fan. Kioti, big fan.
Sponsor us, Kioti.
Yeah, Kioti. Would love
Shout
to be
out.
sponsored by you or TYM. Would love that. TYM Branson or Kioti. Coyote's got a 84 months, packages where they're giving you the tractor, a box blade. A box blade, and how a box blade works is a big square, three-sided box, goes on your 3-point hitch, and you use it to condition roads or flatten areas, right? So when I say condition roads, you put the box blade down, you put a little bit of pressure on it, and you drag it. And what happens is that all the gravel and everything comes up out of your road into your box blade, spins around in the back of it a little bit, and then bumps out, putting it back down, but it buries the dirt. So now you've taken a gravel driveway that looks like it has, it's mostly dirt. You drag your box blade across it a couple of times, and it's back to gravel driveway. It's pretty cool. It's just road conditioning. It's a big thing. It pays really well. It's very easy on you because you're just driving a tractor straight line with a beer and a piece of jerky and just call it a day. And it looks really cool to them, so they really like it. Doing that works really well. So they give you a box blade with it, 5-foot brush cutter, so a rotary cutter, so which means you're already in business. Cutting right of ways, mowing lawns, stuff like. I'm shredding, not mowing, because it's not going to be as pretty as a mower. And then like a post hole digger, and I think that's pretty much all they throw in. Now, John Deere, the greenies, are doing 72 months, 0% interest on anything under a 40 horsepower. So, which tractor's better? I know which ones do better at certain things. Honestly, any tractor you buy is going to be able to do more than what you think it can and more than what you are probably going to ask it to do. Tractors are very, very sturdy. We've had them for a couple hundred years. Everybody can build a really nice tractor. The difference is who is close to you. If there is a John Deere tractor dealership a couple miles from you, I'd probably buy a John Deere because you need a good relationship with your dealership. So if something breaks, it's under warranty and they can come pick it up, drop it off, everything else, or vice versa. If you buy it, for us, I'm a huge TYM Branson fan, but dealership is what is it, 250 miles away, and so if something happens to my TYM or to Branson, then because TYM bought Branson, then I am out an entire day. I have to drag that tractor all the way back over there, or hope that they have a truck headed my way, or vice versa back that way. So it's one of those things. There's a Kioti dealership about 30 miles away. I like Kioti tractors. I like the fact that they build their own engines, their own everything, all in the same place. And they have the highest lifting at the pins of any of the tractors. They're great. They're really good. Third function valve is included mostly in those right off the bat. So, and two hydraulic ports in the back, which is very, very nice, allowing you to run all sorts of cool hydraulic equipment right off the bat. So, and they're cheaper. The problem is my only problem with John Deere is that John Deere, you pay, it's like the difference between buying a Nike something and then like a Sears brand, right? Like Sears brand sneakers versus Nikes. Do they both do the same thing? Yes. Do they weigh about the same? Yep. Do they have the same material? Yep. What's one got different? The other.
The brand.
The swoosh. So you're paying more for the John Deere stuff. Now, we'll go ahead and say, John Deere, you guys are not very nice for getting mad at everybody and changing all your hitches to being proprietary. A while back, there was a lawsuit about the right to repair, and John Deere lost that. What they had done is they had sold all these people these $1 million big threshing machines and $1 million big tractors, and then they had locked the software down to where, and they would not sell the software to anybody, so that you would have to, if something happened to your machine, pay for a tech to come out there, hook up the machine to it, say, yeah, it's broken, and you did not have the right to repair. You couldn't touch your own machine. You couldn't do anything to it. And the machine tattled on you if you even opened it, because everything had little magnets on it. So like if you broke the magnetic seal, it would send
an alert
to the dealership that, hey, this guy's changing his own oil. Stupid crap like that. So they ended up losing a deal of right to repair. So what they did is, instead of having universal quick attachments to everything, like everybody else does,
they went full Apple.
And they changed their bucket. A John Deere bucket is not compatible with anybody else. John Deere bucket's not compatible with anything but John Deere. Any John Deere attachments are only compatible with John Deere. If you want to have if you want a John Deere to use a different attachments, you'd have to buy a pre-angry John Deere, or weld or fabricate your own hitches to go on the front so you can do everything else. Everybody else, like Kioti, TYM, Mahindra, they all use the generic skid steer quick attach system on the front, which allows, because it's just two little levers that flip up, you put it in there, boom, you're done. You don't even have to get off your tractor except to knock the two levers back to drop or pick up an implement. It's super, super fast. It's very, very easy. And it allows you to use not only your regular like attachments, but also a lot of the skid steer attachments. So if you find a skid steer attachment you like, as long as your hydraulic pump will run it, so you've got the low speed attachments and high speed attachments. Almost all tractors are going to be low speed attachments, because the skid steers are designed to have really high speed hydraulic pumps. And that's what that big bulky back end on that thing is a massive hydraulic machine. So on the skid steer. But if you use the low speed hydraulic attachments, you can run pretty much anything. So if you find some cheap attachments, very likely you'll be able to run them as long as you have a third function. So really cool, because basically tractors are like Barbies for adults. There's every imaginable accessory you could possibly get and put it with them. Okay, I think I've probably tractored the crap out of you people today. Let's talk about other things you can monetize. Let's go inside the house. So let's talk a little bit about your freeze dryers, honey, and that's one of the things you do.
Yep. Freeze dryers. So we talked about it briefly in another episode, but you can freeze dry a lot of things. And it's really cool, and it's becoming really relevant because people are looking to store more and more food just in case anything happens. They're not really trusting what's going on right now, especially in the U.S. So just some things to be aware of, and some things that you should know that you can freeze dry. So rice, if you cook rice, like in my household, we cook a lot of Spanish rice. So I have some freeze dried bags of Spanish rice. You could sell those and monetize those. Seal them and store them correctly, right? In the big Mylar bags with no windows, and then with an oxygen absorber inside. Seal them up really good, and label them, and you can sell those. Because freeze-dried meals, like I went to, where did we go? That they had those Bass Pro Shop, right? Yeah. They're like $8 a meal, or
for the cheapies.
For the cheapies, yeah. Even like a freeze-dried ice cream sandwich was like $5, and I'm like, dang, if I could do them for $4, great, everybody wins. It's a little bit less. But anyway, so freeze-dried meals.
It would cost us $6.70 to run the big freeze dryer.
Yeah.
For the full cycle, which is like 24 hours.
Right.
So if you can, you're making that back in your first.
Right.
And you can fit 40 some odd sandwiches in that thing.
Yep. So, and the less water it has in it, the food item, the quicker it's going to freeze dry. So you could do meals, you could do soups, you could do beans and rice, you could do chicken, you could do all kinds of stuff.
Meat.
Eggs.
Meat is a big thing.
Meat is a big thing. So if you guys are familiar, there's a company, I can't think of the name off the top of my head because I don't use them. I don't have to because I make my own freeze-dried meals.
Mountain House?
It's Mountain House, and then there's another one with the red buckets. Anyway, they're usually a lot of times out of stock. because they're running their freeze dryers. They can't keep up with the demand. So that's a good sign, right? When you see something that can't keep up with the demand, say, hey, I'll lend you a helping hand, and then purchase. That's a good indication that you should be purchasing that equipment to provide that same type of service or product. And so they sell like the buckets, they're always sold out, and plus they're really expensive. So they'll have buckets of storage for like 30 days, food storage for 30 days.
It's not really for 30 days.
It's not really.
I've opened those, the ready-made resource, I believe. Mm-hmm. And they, like maybe if you, it would be 30 days if you were an anorexic child and sitting in a basement or somewhere and not doing any physical activity. But it's based off a 1,200 calorie diet, a starvation diet, right? So it's 30 days times 1,200 calories per day. So if you're trying to maintain everything, cut that in half. 15 days. If you're out there in a survival situation, digging holes, making food, everything like that,
you have a bigger
cut
family.
it in half again.
Yeah.
So, the 30-day supply is realistically a 7 to 10 days supply.
Yeah. And those buckets are, they range anywhere from like 170 to 250 bucks, just depending on what it is.
Oh, way more than that now.
Yeah, I can imagine. Let me check. Actually,
that was pre-Obama days. It's called ready-made resources.
Let's see.
Yeah, they're gonna be the Mountain House and the ready-made resources, but now they're all about selling night vision instead of food. Because I think they ran out of food.
Yeah.
They got emergency storage foods up there in the right.
Okay,
there
sorry, I didn't see it.
Sorry about that. But yeah, these one thing that I have people or friends that have done is bought a freeze dryer and then gone to their local hospital and gotten a deal to do breast milk.
Wow, they range anywhere. So the bags range anywhere from $170 to $605.
Yeah, the $605 ones are the ones that are like a month's supply, honey.
Yeah, and this is a whole cow freeze dried.
They're tenderloin
cubes.
It's just
interesting. Okay, yeah, but either way, like it's definitely more cost effective for you to buy your own freeze dryers and store your own food. And then sell your own products, neighbors, communities, people that just want to have some extra food storage just in case, or, people that just are out in the wilderness a lot, like hiking and, boating or whatever, and they could take ready-made meals that they just have to reconstitute by adding water, and you have a nice cooked meal,
Oh, it works just amazingly well. We've eaten many of the ones that we've done. One of the things I really like is doing, is barbecuing or smoking a bunch of chicken. And then taking the chicken and cutting it up and then freeze drying it. It's not only got a really interesting texture when it comes out of the freeze dryer. It looks like styrofoam peanuts.
Yeah.
Which is really neat. It doesn't weigh crap. So whatever chicken's on sale, you can do a bunch of it. I say chicken because chicken's very low fat. Fat will go rancid.
Yeah.
In the freeze drying process. So it goes the chicken breasts without any sort of fat on them when they're freeze dried are good for 20, 25 years. Now, an airtight, watertight packaging with an oxygen absorber in it. Now, if you take like a steak that's got fat and stuff in it and freeze dry, it's only good for a couple months, just because the fat will eventually go rancid very much quicker than it would any other way. Now, one of the really cool things is a trick that I've done before to show people just kind of like, hey, this is really cool, is you freeze dry steaks, right? Just like ribeyes. And then you take them out, and and they look almost the same as like they came out of the package, right? They're still red colored, but now the ribeye doesn't weigh anything at all. A 1 pound ribeye maybe weighs like an ounce. And you take it and you kind of like knock it against something, like, oh man, you broke the steaks. Well, I saw this on YouTube. I think it's a Guggen food guy. Is he took them and rehydrated them in butter.
Oh, nice. Heck yeah.
He used melted butter to rehydrate the steaks and then grilled the steaks. One thing about freeze drying is freeze drying does not sterilize anything. If it was contaminated when you put it in there, it's contaminated when it comes out. It's just that everything is now dormant until you add water to it. So it had E. coli going in. Once you rehydrate it, it has E. coli again, right? Makes sense?
Yeah.
all you did was just put a pause on that bacteria. So you definitely want to make sure that you're safe with that. And touching back on the breast milk thing, is there was a friends. They go to. You're not going to get a big hospital to do it, but these little rural hospitals, like a small town hospital or clinics, is that they get more breast milk donated than they actually need, right? Like they end up dumping a lot of it. Well, you can take and freeze dry it for, let's say, $1 an ounce. You just need to keep very good, like, they'll have a number system on there. Just keep the same number system. The number is the donor and the date, right? Well, you can use the same donor and then like a week spread a date. So you got like 7 days there. So you could put a gallon of breast milk per tray on the large trays and freeze dry those per donor, right? And it works out really, really well. It works out really well. You make good money that way.
Yeah.
At $1 an ounce when it's freeze dried, you got 64 ounces on or 128 ounces on a tray. It's $128 per tray.
Yeah. And so it's also going to help you guys reduce waste. So that's going to be another way to save money, because I freeze dry apples, which my daughter loves to snack on, and I can put them away and they'll be there forever. I don't have any apples that I'm throwing out at the end of the week because they've gotten bad. I'm freeze drying them. I don't have to go buy more apples because I already have apples.
And you can use a regular dehydrator for that too. Make fruit leathers.
Exactly. You can do fruit leathers. So any excess fruit and veggies that you have, any leftovers that you have, you could freeze dry. And then, or, just meal prep meals that you could freeze dry and sell to people. That would be really good. You'd have to find out what your restrictions are in your local community or your state laws are for purchasing freeze-dried food or to sell it. But
you might end up going over, like Texas. We have a cottage industry laws, so there's quite a bit of stuff we can get away with that you can't in a lot of other states, especially like communist states like California. Where everything is illegal, breathing.
And actually, even here, like when I was heavily looking into, we haven't really gone deep into selling freeze-dried food because we don't have our farm yet, So we're currently working on it, so we haven't been able to really bury our roots, and get in there. And so the minute that we do, we'll start a whole, I'll start actively start selling freeze-dried meals. But I will have to get a specific license. And when I looked into it before, I was, pleasantly surprised at how inexpensive it was. I was really thinking that it was going to be in the thousands, and it wasn't. And so I'm like, okay, cool. I think it was like $250.
Yeah, it was really pretty cheap.
It was really cheap. So don't let that, requirement deter you. Like, dig in there, find out what it is. See how you can make it happen, and then see how you can turn around and make your money back from it.
And now let's say you bought a freeze dryer, and it sounds like we're freeze dryer fanboys because we kind of are. And that's only because there's an old saying, is it when you own a hammer, everything looks like a nail?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we have a fleet of freeze dryers, and so everything looks like it needs to be freeze dried. Hey, my socks didn't come out of the dryer just the way I want them. Freeze dryer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a work event and I took freeze dried Skittles, just as a little treat. Everybody's blown away. It was so cool.
Freeze dried candy, because it's already prepared, you can freeze dry it and sell that, and there's no restrictions.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are freeze drying candy and selling that. I'm not. I'd rather do fresh veggies, meals.
Kid snacks.
Yeah, kid snacks, healthy kid snacks,
The animal snacks, the dog and cat snacks, where they're taking liver, which
beef
is
liver.
cheap.
Yeah.
Right? It's real cheap. And they're taking beef liver and slice it up to cubes and freeze drying it. And then they're selling like a little 4-ounce bag, which is basically one whole liver.
And people are buying it because they love their
for
animals.
like $28 or $30. And I'm like, wow, you could fit.
If you're going to do that, though, I highly recommend you having a dedicated freeze dryer for beef liver.
You don't want to do your fruit.
Yeah, you don't want to do your fruit and your beef liver in the same freeze dryer.
Livery
strawberries. No, thank you.
Not cool. Yeah.
No bueno.
No, yeah. 0 out of 10.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, and then once you get, like, let's say you got a freeze dryer, now you can do classes and charge people like, $50 to $100. Come to a class for freeze drying, and then then give them like, oh hey, you take a couple samples of freeze dried stuff home. This is how to operate a freeze dryer, maintain a freeze dryer, do the oil change on it, prep your foods, clean it.
Yeah.
Do a little walkthrough for them. You know, maybe it takes you 2 hours, and then everybody takes home a couple of snacks or tries a bunch of different freeze dried foods, and now your name gets out there, right?
Yeah.
And everybody
also,
has a great time.
Renting it, right? Quote unquote renting it. No. I'm not saying like rent it like to give it out, but like I have been approached with people that say, hey, if I buy 40 pounds of food, how much would you charge me to freeze dry it for me? And people have been approaching me about that. So, I mean, that's another way to make money.
Generally, I think the going rate on the Facebook page for all this is like Betty's Harvest Right.
Hey, Betty.
Freeze drying group.
Yeah, we're in your group. We love you guys.
Yeah, that's the group. It's a little bit sensitive people in there.
Yeah.
So don't go in there and be like, I'm gonna just murder this cow and put the whole thing through the freeze dryer. They won't appreciate that. You gotta be a little bit more tactful. Very sensitive people that are in there, but they do have a bunch of really good ideas and a bunch of really good troubleshooting things. So they're a great resource as long as you can, control.
They also sell components.
Yeah,
like they sell like these little. I guess what would you say they are? Like the little stackers.
The tray stackers. They just 3D
tray
print
stackers. They 3D print tray stackers, and then it makes it so where you can add more trays to your freeze dryer runs, which is pretty cool because. The standard one, like we have the small and the medium. The small one. The medium and the large. The medium one, how many is that? 5 trays? 5. I want to say 5 trays. Yeah. And the large is like 7 or 8 trays.
But they're way bigger.
But they're way bigger trays, right? So more volume.
Like the medium is the size of a dorm room fridge, and the large is the size of like a wine fridge.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Yeah. So if you're gauging how much space it would take up in your home, we are actually creating a butler's pantry in our new home. And so we'll have our freeze dryers in our butler's pantry, along with, the Mylar bags, the oxygen absorbers, like a full setup. And that's what I've been lacking is, my ability to have like a full setup so that I can get organized and really hit it hard. So as soon as I do have access to that, like weekend time money, here we go, So yeah,
but they work out. They work really well. But monetize everything you possibly can with them. Other things are like if you happen to be good at pressure canning, do some classes. There's like
so many people ask me about canning.
Yeah, whenever I've advertised that hey I'm going to be doing some canning, people are like oh man I really want to learn. It's one of those things that's it's difficult to learn from reading. But really easy to learn from watching.
Right.
And so I've done tons and tons of classes on pressure canning. And it's really fun and easy. And you can make it as fun and easy. If you like talking to people and interacting with people, and you can be somewhat sociable for 2 hours, you can do a canning class and make some money at it.
And you're not limited to like having people go to your house and teach them canning. Like, no, you can create a sales funnel, run an ad, generate leads, and then have them show up to your class and pay X amount to be able to show up to your class and do a live class, a live virtual class.
I bet you all couldn't even ever figure out what the heck Vanessa does for a living. She's a salesperson.
No. What do I do for a living, honey?
Stuff on the computers.
Yeah.
That involves sales funnels and setting up stuff?
No. So I do have a marketing background, but my current role is in cybersecurity. So. Yeah.
So it's like she's always using all these big fancy words. I'm
just giving you ideas. Like, don't limit yourself to like having people over at your home. Open that gate wider and have a couple of hundred people show up to a virtual class.
I've always tried to go to their location.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want everybody and their mom coming over to our house.
Yeah.
Because the problem is that whenever we've had a farm and we've had everything going on, is people come over and they see how well set up everything is. They go, hey, if anything happens, I'm going to show up here.
Well, not only that, but then you can't. No. But then when you're the cool kid, like, then they keep coming and you're like, dude, I just want to relax today. Like, I don't want any company. I'm out of social currency. I've been on the phone all day. Like, no. Yeah. And so we're very, like, private people as far as that goes, but we'll definitely my husband has been hired to give talks and speeches and classes and groups and tours of farms, all kinds of stuff. And so, yeah, he got paid very well to do those types of classes.
Lots of fun. I traveled
and
around
it's fun.
doing them.
Yeah.
Let's see.
What else are we missing?
You've got your regular dehydrator. I mean, kid snacks out the wazoo.
Beef jerky, guys.
Spices.
Beef jerky.
Spices is a good one. Oh yeah,
we
beef
have
jerky.
we have our smoker too to talk about. Yeah. So in the dehydrator we could do beef jerky. We would do freeze dried. My husband's also a mycologist, and he creates we can grow our own gourmet mushrooms. So it was really cool at one point because we just went down this rabbit hole, and this is literally our lives. We're like, oh hey, I wonder what you could do. How do you grow mushrooms? And people were popping up with mushroom farms and as an extra alternative food source, which is really cool. So it's a source of protein. So we were very interested in that because obviously we're subtly we're preppers, but we're like low-key preppers, like cool kid preppers. So it really interested us. It really interested us when we learned about mushroom farming and people growing portobello mushrooms and things like that. And so I had my own shiitake block in the kitchen. Shiitake are money. One, they're expensive when you go to the grocery store and buy them.
They're easy to grow.
Two, like if you haven't noticed at your local like bougie grocers, like they now have, like ours does anyway. We have a central market here in San Antonio, and they actually have their own like mushroom like grow area. And they have different variations of mushrooms, but they're quite pricey, So I had my own shiitake mushrooms growing out of my kitchen. And it was really cool because I was able to cut them off. And like as I'm cooking, like, fried rice or whatever, I throw in like a fresh shiitake or as I'm cooking a steak. And it was like the coolest thing ever. So that was really neat.
That'd be its own
but
episode,
freeze drying them.
You can make a lot of money with that.
Yeah. Freeze drying them worked out really well because my husband, when I was pregnant, I had a very tough pregnancy. So he would freeze dry mushrooms and create these soups for me. And everything was freeze dried in there. And I would just add water. And it was the best Asian soup ever. I don't even know what to call it.
I don't know.
Just magical. It was amazing. And it was light on my stomach. But the point is that we were, if you open up like a ramen.
Ramen.
Yeah, if you open up a ramen noodle package. Or not ramen noodle. What's the one that we like? Shin Black.
Yeah.
If you open up a Shin Black package, you'll see that there's little pieces of mushroom in there. And so that's freeze-dried mushrooms because in the Asian stores, you can also find freeze-dried mushrooms. And you'll just cut them up, reconstitute, or if they're cut up already, they're diced up, reconstitute with water, and you have fresh mushrooms again. And it was really awesome. So, that was one thing that we did that was cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That'd be its own episode, though.
Yeah.
I mean, there is quite a bit of money to be made from, like...
mushroom farms.
Yeah. And not necessarily actually growing the product yourself, but selling the kits.
Yep, selling the kits. I mean, people have whatever variation of mushroom they want to grow. That's not my husband has an analogy. He said, I don't want to be the guy, rushing to the gold rush. He's like, or looking for gold. I want to be the guy on the sidelines selling the shovels.
Yeah.
And so that was our... thought process when we were like, hey, let's start up a supply store. So we do currently own a supply store. It's not active at the moment. It is very popular. It's called Sportopia, where we sell all our mushroom supply kits. And then you grow whatever variation of mushroom you want. But they're intended for gourmet. We sell the syringes for gourmet mushrooms, your
shiitake,
lion's mane,
all the different oyster mushrooms.
Pink oyster was really popular. Pink oyster, interestingly enough, tastes like bacon when you fry it up. Yeah. So it's like a bacon alternative, which is pretty cool. It's a beautiful mushroom when it grows. Lion's mane, you guys have probably seen all the advertisements, and they're starting to use it as an ADHD alternative or an Adderall alternative. They're starting to use it as a coffee alternative too, a caffeine alternative. So they're using it like there's different coffee mixes. Coffee. Yeah, I don't. Like, I didn't try it. It's called mud water.
Yeah, and then there's also that other one, Kachava.
Yeah.
That does a ton of mushrooms in it as well.
But that's a whole episode on its own, and we'll have that episode where we'll talk about how to grow.
We got a bunch of other stuff to talk
how to grow
about.
mushrooms. But anyway.
So you've got that. Like, hey, if you have a sewing machine and you like sewing,
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, we made
True story.
so much money making
yeah,
masks.
let's talk about this story. So when the pandemic hit, I was working. I went to go work on the farm. We moved back to South Texas.
Right as we left the farm.
Right as we left the farm and our isolation.
We left this farm in the middle of nowhere. It's like our nearest neighbor was 17 freaking miles away. We leave a farm. We move back to the city to be close to her family and help with the baby because the baby had just gotten out of the NICU. And like, what was it? Like a month and a half later, they're like, "Congratulations on your pandemic."
Yeah, a month and a half later, COVID hit. I was working, was working a super serious job, but it was super serious to me. I was working from home. But, I had just gotten a little job because I had just had my daughter, so she still required a lot of my attention. She was a preemie, and she was, very small and young. So anyway, I got laid off, right? People weren't paying their bills. COVID hits, people stopped paying I was selling WISP services, wireless internet service provider, in South Texas in rural areas, which was pretty cool because, I loved that we were helping the rural areas. But, so I got laid off and I was like, oh crap, like, what am I going to do? Well, my husband had bought me a sewing machine the year before. And, I was like, well, he was like, well, you should teach yourself how to sew masks. And I was like, okay. So I, learned how to sew masks and make masks, and it was very, very cool masks that, I learned how to make. They were three layers.
They had filters.
They had filters in them, washable, very cool designs.
Well, this was back at the beginning when nobody had masks.
Nobody had masks.
There was no such thing as a 95.
Yeah.
You couldn't find them anywhere.
So
even us in the medical field didn't have them.
Yeah.
Like, and so I started by having her make masks for all of us, like in the medical field. So all of us, I had nurses and doctors, everybody wearing cool like masks, and then everybody wanted their own logos on them, and so we started doing
all fancy stuff, branded ones. I mean, I was sewing 13 hours a day,
and then you made me do it,
and then I needed help because I was like literally expanding. Like I had 2 sewing machines going. I had 3 people helping me. I was shipping all over. I was actually shipping all over the world. I shipped over to the Philippines. I shipped all over the United States. Making masks, and just because everybody, like, my masks hit and there was such a big deal, and so that was
right time.
Right place, right time, and I monetized my sewing machine. So yeah, you can do it. I had never sewn a day in my life, and I was sewing like 13-hour days. And now you taught me, and now I know how to sew. So
and it's fun. I mean, I don't know.
It is fun, actually.
I'd like to have a sewing area in the new house.
Yeah, me too.
So that we can do like quilts.
We can make our own, quilts. And honestly, like with everything going on, and the inflation of the dollar, and or inflation in general, and clothes, supposedly everything's going to spike really bad. So I would sew clothes. Like if I have to make my daughter's clothes, like I know I can make her clothes,
Be cool as heck, clothes.
It would be cool as heck.
We're pretty talented about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, I think we've pretty much nailed you can make money in everything. If you have a shovel, make money. Like you can monetize everything in your farm. Like everything. If you have a really pretty garden, man, you could charge people to come and take pictures in it.
Yeah.
I mean,
create a backdrop. Everybody's all about the gram. Everybody's all about social media. Make a very beautiful area where people can come take their wedding photos, family photos, seasonal pictures. Charge photographers to be able to bring their clients over to your spot to take pictures of their brides and grooms and all that stuff, right?
And if you don't have social media,
get social media. I'm sorry, even if you hate it and you're like, it's still, that's where the world is headed. That's where the world is at. That's where the communication is at. And that's where people actually,
That's the only way they want to read. They want to.
Yeah, that's the only way they interact. Like after your long day, what do? You grab your phone and you look at your social media. Yeah. And that's just the thing. So
you gotta have just put something up there every once in a while for them to look at. It's really not that difficult. It sounds like, but with the ability nowadays to cross post, like make one post on Facebook and have it post to Instagram. Twitter, everything all at the same time.
Yeah.
Or like this podcast goes up to everywhere.
Yeah.
The YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, it goes everywhere all at once. So it's just one post done, right? So it's really not that difficult. It's pretty cool. If you get, and then take pictures of whatever you're doing, and make sure to update your, because you're your own marketing team, right? If you own a farm and you're trying to monetize it, you're your own marketing team, and the best way to do that is be your own cheerleader and let everybody know what you have available. And
you can't sell a secret.
Yeah, you can't sell a secret. On that note, I think we're pretty much done with that. What do we got for news? Let's check on my news.
Yeah, big stuff. One thing that I'm sure you guys are either talking about or thinking about is BRICS.
Okay.
So let's talk about BRICS.
BRICS is bad news. It's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. They came together in 2010. They are making their own money. They're making their own digital currency and their own money. And they are attempting to compete directly with the petrodollar, which is what the American dollar is now. It used to be based on gold and silver. It is no longer. It's basically based on just oil, really, nowadays. So BRICS is going to directly compete with us, and it's going to make our life miserable. It's going to launch, and they're going to compete with us on the world stage for supplies, directly with America, for wheat and oil and gas and shipping rights and shipping lanes and everything else. You're going to see a pretty much inflation nightmare. I don't know how to counter this other than check out of the system as much as you can, which just means become food independent.
Yep.
As much as possible. You might want to think about, if you've always been wanting to think about changing careers, I would probably change careers before BRICS really gets its teeth in the ground, because you might not have a chance later. Not that you're going to be stuck in the one career, but that it's going to be a whole bunch of people competing for what jobs are there, right? So, yeah, I would definitely, I would stick to industries that, education, medicine, farming, stuff like that people always need to eat. They're always going to need to be educated. They're always going to get hurt. They're always going to be buried. My grandpa grew up during the Great Depression, and he would tell us one of the most stable jobs in the entire world is being an undertaker. People are always going to die. It's one thing you're going to do good in life. If you want, he's like, you'll always have a job, and he's right. You'll always have a job. It just seems like have you ever met an undertaker? I have. They're kind of weird.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I've heard.
I'm not that weird. There's a couple of famous YouTubers that are undertakers, and they're weird.
Yeah.
They
have to be a special kind of character, I believe.
Yeah, special kind of odd.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing, or veterinary medicine, stuff like that, is good. But I don't think that being a speculative social media dog coin trader is going to really be a viable option once BRICS hits all the way. So BRICS sucks. Yep. And that's about the news that I have about that. Let's talk
about solutions, right? We're not here to instill fear. We're not trying to create any type of panic. But let's think about it, right? We're problem solvers. So if BRICS does hit, and you have to think of the old ways, right? What did they used to do back in the day? They used to barter. They used to trade. You had skills, that people sought you out for. You had certain products, items, food that they sought you out for and traded with you or bought from you or whatever the case. Get wise and start. That's why we're, it couldn't have been at a better time that we're purchasing our farm, that we started this podcast, that we're educating the public in how to self-sustain, This is going to be really relevant really quickly, and we just want you guys to know.
You don't need to have a farm to have relevant skills. It helps because you have a place to practice those skills. But you can live in the city and be an arborist, or you can live in the city and be, something you do in your regular everyday job, like say you're a veterinarian or something like that. Well, you need something else done outside of work, and it's just not financially going to make sense because the dollar, is going to go to crap. So you can barter your services Any type of services. You can barter food. Let's say you're a great bread baker. Barter some food.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'll be able to work on trading stuff within a group of people. And if you have a group of people that are like, say 5 or 6 households that are trading stuff back and forth, well,
you're gonna be all right.
Every one of those households knows 5 or 6 other households, right? And so now if you need a new tire, it's just the same thing that happens in any collapse. Like Venezuela, it was impossible to get like tires, but your cousin's uncle had a guy who had a tire shop that he regrooves tires, so you could be able to trade your cousin 4 gallons of moonshine to go over there and get the tire, right? So there is always a trading and a bartering system that happens in any sort of collapse or shit the fan. And I would probably suggest that if you can, grow food, not lawns. If you live inside the city, you're required to keep a back lawn for some stupid HOA purpose, then you can do a hydroponic setup. We did a whole episode on hydroponics. And you can grow a ton of food out of some 5-gallon buckets and a piece of PVC. Like, we grow a ton of food.
Yeah.
We're just laundry baskets full of tomatoes and peppers.
Yeah.
Like, so much so we couldn't give them away. We pickled them and froze them and
And I
roasted
have a
them.
big family, and they would come over and get, fresh tomatoes and peppers for their pico de gallo, and
Buy
I
the
still had a plethora.
Walmart sack
Yeah.
full.
They'd be like, I'm going to go over for tomatoes, and they would come over, like twice a week or whatever and pick up, and we still had enough. Like, we still had an abundance. But you can also can them. You
Yep.
can freeze dry them.
And
you can dehydrate them.
That canned tomato sauce,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
great trade item.
Exactly.
Super great trade item. Like, tomato powder. I use it surprisingly often. Like, I put tomato powder in a lot of things. So just dehydrated, not freeze dried tomato, but like there's something magical that happens with the temperature.
It's the sweetness.
It makes them taste like they're sun dried, right? Like, but if you just crank the temperature up and dehydrate them well past sun dried stage, you can grind them up to powder with a coffee grinder and then put that in a quart or a pint jar and save it for a long time. And tomato paste added to a rub for chicken is amazing. It's like adding sun-dried tomatoes like all over your chicken. It's great. I use the tomato powder for all sorts of things. So yeah, you can do that. So that's kind of how to not die with bricks. Inflation nightmare. So in the news today, this is coming from another prepper website. They're saying that American households are spending $709 more for groceries and for the same goods as they were buying 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's coming out to 2 years ago they were doing you're paying $709 to get the same amount of food that you would have gotten. It's going to cost $709
I would argue
more.
that it's the same amount of food, because I had a theory when all this started up. I said they're going to sell you the same thing for the same price, and it's going to be a lesser amount. So have you guys noticed that when you buy like anything, even a cheeseburger at McDonald's, is like tiny now, teeny tiny. I'm not saying that, gorge yourself or anything like that, but I know that there's a difference in like I don't know what I bought the other day that I was like, what? That looks so small in comparison to what you used to get before. Like, so they're definitely sizing down on that. So they're saving money both ways and still charging you the same. And it's a mind boggle.
So we're going to do an episode later on mitigating your exposure in an economic collapse.
Yep. That'll be our next episode. So
yeah, that's kind of that'll tie into the whole bricks thing. It'll tie into the whole why it's costing you almost $1,000 extra a month to live. And then also in kind of crappy news is that there's fewer cattle on feed and there's lower placements of calf, heifer herds, and just the whole 9 yards by a lot. By not just a little, by a lot. So there's 1.6 million head less than there was at this time last year. In the cattle feedlot, nobody can afford to feed them. We've been talking to you guys about grain failures, about crop failures, everything else. It's starting to catch up. And this is coming from Farm Progress. It's a very well-respected website showing the cattle futures and everything going on. And it's just bottoming out. So,
Another reason
crazy
why we're going to
line.
have a mushroom episode, because again, an alternative food source for protein, for a meat alternative. So yeah.
So yeah, you're looking at about a overall cost to feed your cattle is out of feedlot is 11.5% higher than it was at this time last year. And everybody's 11%, that's not bad. If I buy a 5 pound thing of ground beef, that's only like 55 or 57 cents extra. No, that's just to feed them. That's not costing the processing or everything else. By the time that 11.5% makes it to you, it's almost 100% more. So makes it through the entire system. It's going. I'd expect to be paying double for beef going into late this year, and early next year. Kind of crappy. What do you got, sweetie?
So one of the interesting, as if we didn't have enough going on. So have you guys heard about the fruit fly that is invasive and is in California right now, where they're having to quarantine their fruits and veggies? It's the Tau fruit fly, and it's kind of creating some real havoc out there for farmers. So it has a tendency of it's attracted to rotted fruit. So
what's so bad about this particular fruit fly?
It lays eggs within the fruit. So like it's totally spoiling, all types of fruit and veggies, really invasive, spreading quickly. So they're having to literally quarantine their, vegetables and their fruits. The farmers are, and it's coming out of their pocket, right? And they're, if it's an organic farm, they're very careful on what types of pesticides they're using. A lot of them are resorting to like growing things that will repel insects naturally, like peppermint, basil, lavender, things of that sort. But yeah, just something to keep an eye out, because it's literally affecting a lot of farmland and fruits and veggies, and that's just going to be that's just another source of food that we're going to be down and out. And in California, they grow a lot of avocados, and they're particularly attracted to avocados and tomatoes.
Well, that's a good segment into the tree of the day. Tree of the day is going to be the Catalina avocado tree. The Catalina avocado tree is an avocado that originally came from Cuba. It's native to Cuba. Cuba has been naturalized to Florida. It's a little bit different of the avocado. It's not like a Haas, which everybody's familiar with. It says the tree effortlessly blends beauty and utility with its graceful branches and glossy green leaves that complement any landscape with a moderate growth rate and mature height of around 20 to 30 feet, so it's a big tree. This avocado tree strikes a harmonious balance between size and convenience, making an excellent fit for both spacious gardens and cozy outdoor spaces. One good thing about this avocado is that it has a striking appearance with large pear-shaped avocados that weigh about a pound each, so they're big. Pebble texture skin, increases creamy pale green flesh, rich in flavored oils. It's more rounded than like the Haas avocado. It's more of a circular kind of shape. They're a self-pollinating tree. They're easy to care for. Now, if you live in like zone 9 and above, some more of the tropical southern states, you can plant it outside. However, this particular avocado does extremely well
in a greenhouse.
In a greenhouse, and also on a back porch in a container. So you can just wheel the container in and out. Like
when it gets too cold,
once it's gonna freeze, it becomes an indoor plant.
Yep.
When it gets not, it's an outdoor plant. So pretty awesome. Does super good and fruits just fine in a container. So that's really nice for those little guys. And our plant of the day is going to be the Texas Super Sweet Onion. It's about time, it's going to be time here soon to get your onion sets and put them in the ground. At least for us. That usually happens about February here. It's considered one of the most flavorful onions on the planet. Can keep more than 2 months after you harvest them. Vigorous plant with high yields and good disease resistance, developed by Texas A&M University, matures in 115 days, open pollinated, short day onion. Now, when you hear people talking about a short day and a long day onion, you know what the difference is?
No.
All right. It's going to sound counterintuitive.
Okay.
But the higher north you go, the longer the days are.
Okay.
Like, and that's just because the way the Earth sits and it spins. So the summer in, like, say, northern Idaho, the days can be 18 hours long. Whereas here, the closer to the equator,
does that mean it's longer? Like,
longer the day
okay.
is longer day.
Cool.
It's like 18
Okay.
hours of sunlight. Whereas when you get down here, the closer you are to the equator, the more even it is, like 12 hour, 12 hour, 12 hour, 12 hour. Whereas directly at the equator, everything's 12 hours a day, 12 hours a dark.
So they're shorter here.
The shorter days here. So short day is going to pretty much cover most of North America, except for like the upper top.
Oh, I thought there was a difference in size. Like if it's the longer or shorter.
No.
That's what I said. It's a short
Yeah.
onion. Okay.
Short
Okay.
days can sound counterintuitive, but the more northern latitude you go, the longer the daylight hours are in summer. Whereas the shorter the day, a short day onion is going to be, and then about the bottom 2/3 of America. Whereas the long day onions are going to be the top 2/3 of America. It sounds counterintuitive, but that's how short day, long day works. And that pretty much covers me as far as cool stuff to go on a day. You got anything else to add, hon?
No, well, I do. I want to give a shout out to all our listeners. We have, 69% of them in the United States. We have listeners in Australia, Singapore, Spain, United Kingdom, India. We love you guys. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for believing in us. We want to keep these episodes coming, so it really inspires us when we see our listeners pop up from all over the world. It's super cool, too. So
It is very cool. I would like to give a special shout out to somebody that had sent us our really awesome little plant and given kind of an update on it. So Blue, you know who you are. You are the little Big Blue. They're
they're in Australia.
Yeah, they're from Australia.
Yeah.
The finger lime seeds you sent us. We have a little 6-inch tall finger lime now.
Nice.
That's the guy that's sitting right there in the window.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So super happy with that. Super awesome. Love it to death. I cherish the living crap out of that cool little awesome finger lime. Very happy with the guy. Thank you very much for that. With that said, guys, I think we've pretty much covered everything.
Yeah.
It's been a pretty good episode. Like I said, next episode is going to be about what you could do to mitigate your exposure with economic collapse. I think we've pretty much covered everything there is to do with farming and homesteading stuff, right?
Yep.
We've covered monetizing, we've covered animals, we've covered every type of animal,
Yeah.
from poultry to fish we've covered. I think we've ground farming into the ground, and I think it's now time to until we move and start actually rocking and rolling and putting plants into the ground, we'll do more techie type episodes where we talk about like our limiting your exposure for the an economic collapse, finding ways to feed your family for cheaper.
Yep.
That
Adding
kind of
another
stuff.
food source like mushrooms, that'll be a whole episode on its own, so stay tuned for that one. But yeah, if there's anything that you guys want to learn about, want us to figure out for you, provide you with ideas and solutions to problems, definitely by all means email us. We'll be happy to respond and save that for a podcast so that we can talk to everybody and communicate that out to the world.
And that email will be thispharaohlifepodcast@gmail.com. Our Venmo is thispharaohlife at Venmo. Our Cash App is $thispharaohlife. You can go ahead and find us on Etsy, where we have all sorts of cool, interesting, and unique items, and it's going to be thispharaohlife.etsy.com. You can go ahead and like us on Instagram and Facebook as well. Mm-hmm. It's a good way to get a hold of us if you want to have a chat or talk to us or give any suggestions, hate mail, that kind of stuff. We love it all. If you send us cool stuff, we'll give you a shout out as always and keep you updated on however the cool stuff is you were doing.
Yep.
Later on this year, we are hoping to be able to, I guess it would be next year, next growing season, where we're hoping to be able to have things like seed packets that we can send out to people that are listeners, where we'll have like, hey, look, we've got a great deal on these, so we can make this or X,
Yeah.
Y, and Z available for you.
And let me get my food, my freeze dry operation up and going, and really hit that hardcore. And I'll have a website where you guys can go and purchase some freeze dried meals from us as well.
And we'll be able to do a bunch of we'll be able to do a lot more giveaways and a lot more interaction with everybody when our hands aren't tied and we're not all cramped into a little rental house.
Yeah, it's not fun right now, guys. We are
It's
busting
not.
out at the seams.
Yeah.
We're just ready to get going. They updated us today, and because it's been so hot, they haven't been able to have our work crew out there building and continuing the build because it's too dangerous for them to work out in the sun, or it was
It's
last
110
week.
degrees. Yeah, I don't blame them.
I don't blame them. We weren't trying to pressure them to hurry up and endanger them or anything like that. So we have to be patient, and it's looking more like October now, so it's been pushed back. So, stay tuned, and we'll definitely, you guys will be able to experience like growing out or building out a homestead with us.
Step by step.
Yep.
I currently have dreams of building decks.
And I'm currently having dreams about the deck that I want you to build for me. So definitely a wraparound in my future with, all kinds of coolness. So I'm excited.
All right, guys, and with that, we love you very much. And take care.
Love you all. Good night.
All righty.